Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. And our topic for this week is about a very cool font called Shadow Applique with motif fill and satin borders. And so if you're ready to get started, let's go ahead and bring my workspace nice and large. And you can see I've got the font, loaded on my screen here, the number 5. This is your Shadow Applique with a motif fill and a satin border. And if you're not sure where to find this font, it's not actually found under our font tools. It's not one like this is where you can, type the letters in your properties box and it'll appear in that font. No, in fact, this font comes from our library. And so if you were to bring your mouse over to the side where you see the library tab, you'll notice that there's a folder under your library called fonts. Now, I realize there may be some folders on my computer that are different from yours, but the fonts folder gets installed with the Floriani software. And inside of there will be several fonts. And the one that we're talking about is Shadow Applique with motif and border. And so you simply select that. Now, to see the fonts, then you would need to hover over the Designs tab. So notice that on the right, there's a yellow Library tab. There's also a Browser tab. So the browser would be for other locations, not in your library from your computer, but the library is a special space where we can save things like your free monthly designs or these special fonts. And so once you've selected in the library the font, you simply go on the Designs tab to see the letters and the numbers of this font. You can scroll through to see all of them. And if you want to use one of them, you'll click and drag to bring it onto your screen. In fact, you can just keep going and bring on as many letters as you want to onto the screen. And so I'll bring in my initials. And now I have both the T and the C, and they'll come in grouped. So it's easy for you to bring them, over to wherever on your workspace that you want to, and perhaps do, a nice little arrangement with them so that it looks really cool. What I thought I would do is just highlight exactly how these letters work. And so once you drag and drop to bring them onto your screen, what I want to point out is that each letter will sew independently of the others. And it would not be wrong to use your color sort tool and combine the colors, but that is entirely optional because right now, what's on my screen would start with the blue text and so all of that. And then it would do the shadow for the number 5. And after the shadow, so the first color is the shadow, then the next color is actually the applique of the number 5. And that is kind of highlighted by the pink sort of fabric color that's selected there. But it starts with a run stitch, and then the machine is going to stop. And that run stitch shows where to place your fabric. And you can just place a large piece of fabric over top of that area, at least as large, if not a little bit larger than this area. And then when you press start, it will actually sew that run stitch again. Oh, before that. So it sews in a second run stitch of exactly the same shape. Now, when the machine stops at this point, you would use your scissors to trim the excess fabric from around the number 5. And so now you have a shadow with an applique. And then the next color is the motif. And so you'll see the motif is something that's a decoration that's going to stitch on top of the applique fabric. And the final color of the design is the satin stitch border that sort of finishes the whole letter off. And once it finishes the number 5, then it's going to go over and it's going to do all of the colors for the number T or the letter T, and then it will do all of the stops for the letter C. And so it's not wrong to do each applique independently and have, additional color stops. Of course, if this was what you were going to embroider and you didn't want, and you would rather sew all of the gray at the same time, and then maybe even do all of the appliques at the same time. So we do have the ability to choose color sort. And so color sort can sort through the design and reduce your colors. It reduced my gray but it did not combine the appliques. And if you wanted to combine the appliques, then you would actually need to select the appliques themselves. You could select each one of them and combine them together, but the auto is not going to do it for you, is what I'm saying. So if you select all three appliques and you want them to sew all at the same time, you could tell it to combine them. And that would tell the software that this was all one kind of part in the sequence. And so now it would sew quite differently, because it would do all of those shadows for each letter. And then it would do the yellow outline for each letter, showing you where to place your fabrics. Then it would do the red tack down line. And of course, you don't have to sew them in red or yellow. You choose the colors. Usually I do the applique in the same color as the border. But the point here is that you are in control. This is really the benefit of having a font like this that is a multicolored font that's built out of true WAF colors. Let me just click new to start a new workspace and bring in a letter again so that you can see, kind of from the beginning. It starts out with the shadow color. And then the second part is the applique, which is going to have two colors, and then the motif, and then the satin border. And if you wanted to use this font, but you wished there was no shadow, it would be very easy to remove the shadow from the design and have just the font. If you really just wanted an applique letter and you don't want the motif, it would be easy to remove that as well. But it could be the opposite. Maybe you're using this smaller and you didn't really feel that you needed to applique. You would rather fill in that shape. Well, then you could select the applique and click on fill and change the applique, component into a fill component. So now I have a filled in shadowed letter with a motif on top and a satin border. And maybe you just want a filled letter with a shadow and no motif on top. And then you could hide, or in my case, I'm hiding them over here with the little eyeball in the sequence view. But of course, if you actually want to remove them, then you would select that color and you would just simply click on the delete to remove it from the design. And so now I have a shadowed letter with a filled in center and a satin border. And so we think that's the real magic of this font, is that although it comes in as an applique with a motif and a satin border and a shadow, it would be very easy for you to, I guess, change the components and make it something different. And so I hope you're enjoying this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. Until next week, have a great day, and thanks for watching.